Hey guys, DC Network here, coming at you with another video. My Adventures with Superman premiered 2 years ago in the summer of 2023, and it was an absolute treat, an absolute delight to watch. I wasn't really expecting that much from this series. It was announced alongside Batman Caped Crusader, and I felt like Batman Caped Crusader always overshadowed My Adventures with Superman, at least in my opinion. Batman Caped Crusader was being hyped up as this really dark, diving into the psyche of being a superhero type of series with this noir type vibes to it, that it really was something that I think a lot of fans were anticipating, and My Adventures with Superman was announced alongside it, and instead of being something similar to it, it was kind of the polar opposite, being a much more lighter series, a coming-of-age story revolving around Superman and these characters. And while I was intrigued to see what it was about, I was never expecting it to be as good as it was. Obviously, they followed up that first season with a second season. I believe it was in like May of last year and throughout the summer in 2024. I didn't think the second season was as good as the first, but it was still a good story in its own right. And the second season did so well that they decided to not only pick it up for a third season, but even to make a spin-off of My Adventures with Superman in My Adventures with Green Lantern, which is obviously going to come at some point in the future following Jessica Cruz, who is going to be our new Green Lantern, and it's going to be a coming-of-age story, I guess, within the realm of the Green Lanterns. But nevertheless, My Adventures with Superman Season 3, as I said before, was announced in July of last year, and I presumed that it would probably be coming this summer, right? We had 2023 summertime is when the first season premiered. The late spring, early summer of 2024 is when the second season premiered. I inferred that, okay, we're probably going to see the third season at some point in the summer of 2025. As the years progressed, we've really heard nothing about it, and I assumed that once we got to the Annecy Film Festival for Animation last month, Cartoon Network and Adult Swim were obviously going to have a presence at this festival. I presume that one of the series we would get updates on is My Adventures with Superman, and they would give us an update on when exactly season 3 is premiering. Maybe we get like a teaser first look at it. But to my surprise, the festival came and the festival went, and there was absolutely no mention of My Adventures with Superman, which is making me wonder what exactly is going on with this season. I presume at this point it's not coming this year anymore, so are we looking at the winter or spring or summer of 2026 to see what's going to happen next within the realm of My Adventures with Superman? I started to scour the internet to see, are there any updates regarding this series? Because I remember at the time Jack Quaid gave us some updates on season 2 after season 1 ended in the fall. Same thing with one of the producers of this series. They kind of told us that, hey, we're almost done with it. You're not going to have to wait too long until you see this show. And obviously there was a less than a year hiatus between the first and the second season. So I started looking up online, okay, are there any updates regarding My Adventures with Superman season 3? And the only piece of information that we got was an Instagram post from 10 months ago from Jack Quaid saying that he's starting to record his voice lines for the first episode of season 3, and we really have not heard anything else since then. So again, I'm sitting here wondering what exactly is happening with this show. Is it going to come out this year, or are we going to have to wait until 2026 to see what happens in this third season? I've been on the record multiple times in prior videos discussing different shows that Cartoon Network has these long hiatus periods with, and not only with Cartoon Network but in general with TV. I feel like you cannot have longer than a year hiatus for a series. Like, if you're airing a show 1 year and then the following year there's absolutely nothing regarding it, and then you have to wait 2 or 3 years to see the next season of that show, I don't care what franchise you are, your fans are going to lose interest in that show. The people who watch it are going to lose interest and move on to something else. Unfortunately, the way the streaming landscape has changed just the industry as a whole, it seems like that's the new normal, where a show will come out and then you won't see a new season of that series for another 2 to 3 years. Like, look at Star Wars, for example. Disney is developing so many shows within the Star Wars universe. We've had multi-year hiatuses for The Mandalorian. We've had multi-year hiatuses for Ahsoka, and so on and so on. Unfortunately, the resources of these companies are spread out so thin that they just can't produce the seasons of these shows in back-to-back consecutive years like we're used to seeing when these series would premiere on TV. But nevertheless, when it comes to My Adventures with Superman, I always thought that this season would come this year, given the precedent set by the prior 2 seasons. Obviously, it wasn't mentioned at the Annecy Film Festival, but now this update that I see from Jack Quaid from 10 months ago, if 10 months ago he was recording his lines for this season, at this point I would have to imagine that all their lines have been recorded for this season of this show. They're probably done with animation at this point, or if not done, nearing completion. I would have to imagine this show's in post-production. So with all of that being said, is it possible that My Adventures with Superman is going to premiere this fall on Adult Swim with episodes next day on HBO Max? I think that's actually a possibility for this season, and what I'm thinking is maybe we actually get an update on this show at San Diego Comic-Con here in a couple of weeks. Obviously, it's a superhero series, and we see a lot of announcements at San Diego Comic-Con revolving around these superhero-centric shows. Maybe we get an update for this series at San Diego Comic-Con in a couple of weeks, and maybe they show us a teaser, maybe they show us a first look at what we can expect in season 3, and maybe they give us a release date. Hey, it's coming in October 2025 on Adult Swim with episodes next day on HBO Max. That would be absolutely phenomenal, because I really hope we don't have to wait until 2026 for the next season of this show to premiere, just because, as I said before, I feel like when a show takes too long of a hiatus period, people start to lose interest in said series. I mean, look what happened to Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty got renewed for an additional 70 episodes after season 3. They took a multi-year hiatus. I believe it was 2 years between seasons 3 and season 4. Season 4 was an absolute mess, and if you look at the ratings between season 3 and season 4, they absolutely fell off a cliff. Obviously, Rick and Morty as a franchise isn't doing horribly. It's doing well. They obviously made a spin-off in the Rick and Morty anime. Obviously, it's still getting new episodes now on Adult Swim, but that show doesn't have the same level of mass appeal to it as it did prior to season 4 premiering, as it did prior to that hiatus happening. I don't want to see the same thing happen to My Adventures with Superman, because while Rick and Morty was able to sustain that, Rick and Morty obviously is still ongoing now, I don't think My Adventures with Superman would be able to sustain such a drop-off like that. This series is a fantastic show, but it doesn't have that same mass appeal, that same large fan base that Rick and Morty does. So I really hope we see an announcement in a couple of weeks at San Diego Comic-Con saying, hey, here's your first look at My Adventures with Superman Season 3. It's coming to Adult Swim on October 15th of this year. It's going to have a midnight release. When you wake up the next morning, you'll see the episodes on HBO Max. We hope you enjoy this new season, because we've really poured our hearts into it. We really think this is something you're going to enjoy. I hope that's what happened, but we'll know in a couple of weeks. If there's an update, I'll make a video saying, hey guys, guess what? My Adventures with Superman's coming out this fall, or maybe it's coming out in the early parts of 2026, but until then, we're left in the dark here, and we really don't know what's going on with this show. If we don't hear anything by the end of this month, or at the absolute latest August, then yeah, this show's not coming until 2026, and I really hope that doesn't affect the viewership and the ratings that this series has gotten, because it's an absolutely phenomenal show, and I hope it gets the love and respect that it deserves from not only Adult Swim and Cartoon Network, but from Warner Brothers Discovery as well. Anyways, let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about all this. What do you guys think about the current state of My Adventures with Superman? Do you agree with me that it seems like this show might actually come out at some point this fall, given that they were recording lines for it 10 months ago? Maybe we'll see an announcement at San Diego Comic-Con, or maybe we don't, and maybe this series doesn't come until the spring or summer of 2026, but I really hope that's not the case. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more content like this from DC Network. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.